Hey you are finally awake. It is time.
Time for what?
Time for you to continue your journey. You must leave the village. I have taught you all I can. You have great power. You have great opportunity. You must go to the old forest to study with the old mage. He will help you continue your journey. One day you will help bring the four nations back into peace.
What is happening?
It is time for you to go. I can't take care of you anymore. Take this and go to the old forest. Find the old mage. Ruin you, fool. Blood, oil, gold, brains. Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. Then everything changed when the famine arrived. The farms along the river used to feed the cities and allow them to grow. People had leisure time that they used to develop high arts and science. But after 3,000 years of incredible abundance, the soil couldn't keep up and became less fertile. The military could not be fed, war broke out, and the armies tried to plunge each other's nations for resources. As trade suffered, the metal stopped flowing, tools broke down, hunger and disease swept the land, big empires broke into primitive villages, people forgot how to read and write, how to craft, how to fight disease, life became simpler and harder. 5 cities endured in the chaos, at least for the moment. Your grandparents were good people, educated. They fought for reason, order and peace. They were great leaders. They gave people what they wanted, safety, food, and a promise of glory and better days. They had the support of the people, and with this source of hard work they tried to rebuild, to farm new lands, to tap new resources for the making of clothes and tools, new building techniques. They worked out new alliances with their surviving cities. For a few decades the city endured. For a moment it even seemed that the golden times were coming back, and then they were wiped out. It is not known who did it. Strange people came from the sea in ships, dressed in blue. They did horrible things. They took some women as prisoners and stole any treasure they could find. They killed everybody else and set fire to all the beautiful homes. Nothing was left. Your grandparents were strong. They stood their ground and fought valiantly until the end. They saved the life of a lot of people, including your parents. Your parents escaped and managed to hide from some time, living a simple life. But one day they came for them too. They gave their life to save you. You were very small, but you remember, don't you? Your parents died in this disaster. Bandits raid villages every day, and only luck keep us safe. The world is in decay. Only 4 cities still stand. They are strong, and even now they have abundance. But for how long? One day you will continue the work of your family. You will be a leader. The people will love you, and you will have their support, because you will give them the peace and prosperity they seek. You will be powerful and dominant. You will crush your enemies. You will study and practice. You will search for knowledge and experience. You will have excellent mentors. You will master skills and wisdom. You will have high ability. You will be what you were always meant to be and fulfill your potential. You will rule, unite the people, and bring order back. You will create an empire, and no one will hurt your family ever again.
I will create an empire, and no one will hurt my family ever again. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. You know that the old mage lives in a town somewhat separated from a village north of your own village and across the forest. It should take you only a full day of travel to arrive. But first things first, you should stay focused on immediate threats if you want to survive. Naked and alert with adrenaline, you walk away from the village, deep into the forest. As you leave the menacing flames behind, light becomes more modest. With your body chilling the cold, you look up. Rain clouds cover the stars and the moon. Darkness is good for hiding, not so good for traveling. And even in autumn, it's already cold enough that a sprinkling rain could give you hypothermia. You spend the night running through a forest in the nude. You take deliberate steps, careful to not trip and break an ankle. Once you are in total darkness, under the cover of a tree and out of sight of the village, you stop. From your emergency backpack, you take out heavily traveling clothes and boots, and you put them on. You also take out a silver pentagram necklace, and you slip the chain over your neck. With a small effort of will, you make the 5-pointed star glow with a faint blue light. Having light and being able to see where you step mean you can walk a lot faster, maybe even run, but it also means it will be a lot easier for a gang of murderous bandits to spot you. You start trotting in the same general direction you were going before. There is no reason why would they be after you, except you are indeed carrying a piece of silver jewelry. And of course, they could also be after slave labor. An educated slave could sell for a higher price. Not to mention they might have some even more nefarious uses for a supple young boy. Besides, there might be other people trying to escape into the forest, also hiding valuables that the attackers might want. You decide to run faster, holding your pentagram against your chest so it doesn't bounce around. You've heard that people that try to walk in a straight line but have their eyes closed end up walking in circles back where they started. If you really want to take a day to get to the old mage instead of 3, you need to find a way to orient yourself. Find north. It might be vital to warn the old mage village about the bandits, so they can keep watch, hide if necessary, maybe even send someone to help any survivors of your own village. You didn't carry a compass. People around here don't know about magnets, so you couldn't find any. You need to find the old mage village fast. You need to find the north fast. As you go, you keep an eye out, trying to find anything that could give you indications of where you are and where to go. A few hours later, in a strange part of the forest, you eventually find a small clearing, with a big oak tree growing in its center, and a big boulder next to it. There is a big owl perched in one of the branches of the tree, and a little fox sitting on top of the stone. You walk closer to the oak, and looking up, you speak to the owl. "Hello, I'm looking for the village settled in this forest. It should be someplace north of here. Could you please point me to the right direction? Thank you." As you speak, you notice the owl looking around at random fixed places, moving his neck in strange angles, maybe trying to see or to hear something unknown to you. Without ever looking in your direction, the owl answers.
Oh, hello, Graham. I can tell you what happened. Oh, I know what happened to your village. I saw it all. Yes, I did, Graham. Oh.
It seems confused, or perhaps you didn't understand him well, but the mention of your village makes your heart start to beat faster. Perhaps the owl can tell you something about the aftermath of the attack. "My name is not Graham, but I would like to know what happened to the village if you can tell me. Also, I need your help, Mr. Owl. How many leagues away is the village north from here, and exactly in which direction?"
Oh, I'm happy to tell you, Graham, but I need your help. Something terrible has happened. Oh, quick, I need your help, Graham. Do this for me and I will guide you to the village. Oh.
For a fraction of a second, you feel confused. Why is giving you directions connected to helping him? Why not just do both? Maybe the directions are complicated and his problem is urgent. Or maybe he's hurt and it's painful for him to speak. None of that makes any sense. Then you realize what he's implying and you get a little bit angry. The owl was putting pressure on you to make you do something. The owl could tell you what you wanted to know, but he was not going to, unless you did this for him. You immediately have a quick flashback. The last few years, Grandma tried to teach you everything she could that would be to your advantage. One time, for 3 days, she taught you about the Blood Nation, its culture, and how they studied the nature of power. She talked about banquets, formal dance parties, and the need to be polite, and how a good way to get yourself killed was acting like a savage among nobles, or like a noble among savages. Nobles were strong, civilized, very powerful people, all which meant that they had a lot of options, and good ones. Because of this, they were forced to be very polite with each other. You can pressure someone that has an abundance of options, that can walk away if he doesn't enjoy what you're doing. But people still wanted things from each other, so a culture of elaborate customs, rules, and rituals developed. It was all based around gifts and favors, and reputation. They couldn't pressure you if they wanted something, but they didn't have to hang out with you if they didn't want to, or if there was someone nicer, and nobody wanted to be rejected. It will mean loss of wealth and romantic choice, loss of options, loss of power. Nobody wanted to be left behind with old clothes and small struggling lands. This meant that gifts and favors had value. The opportunity to make someone a favor was valuable. Giving someone the opening to make you a favor was a gift. Giving someone the opportunity to make someone else a favor was even a greater gift. If you didn't want to be in a position of debt, you will return the favors. If you didn't reciprocate a gift, you gave others the power to tarnish your reputation. Rudeness, breaking a promise, telling a lie, were all attempts at taking power from someone, taking away their options of doing what they wanted, and to avoid others doing things to them. Taking power was impossible in a noble court. Meanness, entrapping people in bad commitments, and being deceiving was, on the other hand, something that nobles would become extremely proficient at. You could only entice, offer power, give power, in order to obtain more than you gave away. Anything else would be cause for war and violence, which was very rare and something nobody wanted. In contrast, your grandmother explained, people without power, fragile, fighting the wild, often did horrible things to each other. In scarcity, a piece of food can be more valuable than friendship, especially one with someone that eats and has no food to offer. In true scarcity, there was a set amount of resources, no more, and not enough, so people had to compete for them. There was limited water, limited food, limited shelter, limited love. Someone having more meant you having less. There was no creation of resources. The resource of knowledge was also limited. There were only so many ideas and so many skills. Time was also running out, unless you managed to get your next meal. And the way to get what you wanted was not to give others what they wanted, but it was to take from them. You could insult someone to show them they had no options, no power, and they needed to do what you wanted. You could trick them, lie to them. You could steal from them. If you were stronger, you could force them to give away what they had. Envy and jealousy were qualities, impulses that helped you survive. Greed, gluttony, anger, they all made sense. They all keep your belly full and your children alive. And so, in good times, most people fell in the middle, neither noble nor deprived. And they all develop skills that are effective for that particular environment. They specialize. Research and rehearsal were fundamental if you were planning going into the battlefield. Even dressed properly, without education and training, you will end up quickly messing up your reputation if you wanted to pass as a noble. The best you could do was to smile and not talk until you learn, if you didn't want to get into trouble. Most people are used to constantly doing small things to take power away from each other. It's normal, accepted. They don't even notice it. If you do that among nobles, first they are going to be confused. They are not going to understand what do you mean, what are you saying. But as you, unaware, keep infringing on them, they will get it, and they will be hurt and angry. Why do you keep saying those hurtful things to them? There is no reason, there is nothing to gain. It leaves you both in a worse place. It's senseless, it's plain evil. In the same way, a person that has only known hunger might arrive in your town and stab you to take a piece of bread from you, not knowing he will have gotten a lot more by simply asking. On the flip side, someone who lived his life in a level of less scarcity is going to seem empty and brainless. There is an opportunity to take, and they don't react to it. You do some banter, and they don't play back to you. You fight, and they don't defend themselves. They just get sad. They are weak. Answering a simple question would be the polite thing to do. Most people wouldn't seriously try to pressure something out of you in exchange. That would be absurd or rude. Only a rascal living on the street, someone in a dark situation, would be expected to do something like that. The owl was pressuring you to do something. It was no evil, it was in scarcity, but you had to protect yourself nevertheless. The owl was a wild animal, fighting for its survival. The wild is what humans fight. We store water and food, we build shelters, we build cities and become civilized. We stop the wild. You don't see old or sick animals in the wild, you only see strong animals or dead animals. A village was needed to get the benefits of having old people. The owl didn't have a village, but now you didn't either. You couldn't just walk away and ignore the owl. Not having power means being in danger, not having good options, not having resources. The owl had something you wanted, and that gave him a little bit of power, and he was going to hold on to it. The owl wanted to make an exchange for the knowledge. This was a negotiation. What do you want me to do exactly?
Oh, there are holes in the ground. I want you to fill them with soil, because they have to be filled. Small holes. Walk to them, fill them, and fill them. I will guide you.
A negotiation was more Blood Nation business. Your grandma was not a Blood Nation citizen. She only taught you an overview, general ideas. There was no practice. There were a few steps to negotiate correctly, but you didn't remember them. There was something about creating space for yourself, instead of immediately reacting with your natural emotional reactions. Create time so you could make good decisions. There was something about knowing your best alternative to the negotiation, right? Knowing what you could do on your own if you didn't get to an agreement. That allows you to walk away from the negotiation if the offer wasn't good enough. And yes, you should find ways to make the pot of gold bigger for both interested parts, before discussing how you are going to divide it. And there were 30 or more steps that you didn't remember at the moment. Your best alternative was to keep walking until you could get out of the forest in a day or two, find a road and circle back to the old wizard's village. Take an extra day to get there, and get very thirsty in the process. Maybe you get lucky and find a way to get there early, but that was no safe bet. Maybe you find water or food in your path, or maybe not. Maybe you die of cold while you stop a few hours to sleep. The owl was there in expectating silence, still waiting for your answer as the seconds passed. A way of creating time was asking questions. Very well then. Why do you want to fill the holes?
Fill the holes, yes, because I hunt mice, yes. Humans hate greedy mice, and they use the holes to escape. Winter is coming and I need to hunt a big juicy rat before it's too late. With these escape holes I have not been able to hunt.
Okay, that makes sense. By helping the owl, you might be upsetting some mice, but they were a plague that often ate crops, so you weren't very troubled by the moral dilemma of taking sides. It seemed like a good deal. What was the other thing you were supposed to do? Make the cake bigger before dividing it. Creatively think if there is more you have to offer to each other. This makes the negotiation easier, more promising to the other part, so it's more likely to accept quickly. Also, if they receive more, that makes you valuable for them. They might want to please you in the negotiation for future gain. They might want to become an ally, a friend. Friends repeatedly generate value for each other. So what can you offer the owl with little cost for you and big benefits for him? Or can you make the deal bigger? A few seconds go by as you try to think. Your mind is blank. And then a few more seconds. And you realize you are cold and damp and anxious and sad and exhausted after the adrenaline rush of a few hours ago. Your brain is not very creative at the moment, and you don't have experience to rely on to come up with something. Maybe you can take a shortcut, skip steps and just accept the owl's proposal as it is, not doing a proper negotiation, not doing things properly just this time. But even just accepting as it is, you have problems to solve. How do you know the owl is going to keep his word, instead of just asking more things from you? Well, if he breaks his word, then you are not going to do more work for him. So he has nothing to gain by keeping the information, and it could be dangerous for him. You could throw a rock at him or something. So after you do the job, it's easier for the owl just to tell you. And that's good enough for you. Feeling a little guilty rush of impulsiveness, you speak to the owl. I accept. These burrows that need to be filled, where are they?
In the small clearing right next to this one. That way.
He points to your left direction with his claw.
Fill them and come back. Thank you, my friend.
Feeling a little worried that the owl might fly away after you finish the job, but also feeling a little reassured by the owl calling you his friend, you walk to the edge of the clearing. Like two soap bubbles touching, you find a smaller clearing next to the first one. You enter it, and you see mounds of dirt and holes on the ground all over the place. Perhaps 9 holes in total. Careful not to step on one, you get near the closest hole. You don't have a shovel. You could spend 5 minutes dragging dirt with your boot to fill one hole, or maybe spend 2 minutes if you use your hands. But there was a better way. You take a deep breath, you focus, you extend in one hand, and you do an effort of will. You start to build the spell in your mind, like an architect drawing blueprints. One hole plus one pile of dirt equals no hole and no pile of dirt. Pile of wet dirt slides smoothly and falls into the hole. Simple enough, and faster than the alternative. You walk to another hole. You take a deep breath. You focus, you exert your will. You weave a crystal wave of ideas in your mind as you prepare the spell. 200 piles of dirt plus 300 holes equal 100 holes. Dirt falls into the hole, filling it. You take a couple of steps to the next hole. With an effort of will, you build a delicate pyramid of cards in your mind. 7 empty holes equals 7 piles of dirt. As you speak the correct truth, another hole gets filled. You walk to the next hole, looking around, and you notice the little fox is now at the edge of the clearing, observing you. You don't think much of it, and continue your job. You fill another hole with dirt, another and another. You quickly step to the next one, and that is when it happens. With the expert timing of a hunter, as you are given a step, you feel a strong and precise push at the back of your leg. You stumble, and you take one step forward trying to regain your balance. A bad step. Your right foot goes into an unnatural angle as it drags against the walls of a hole when with force you put your foot into it. In an instant your foot bends and you feel a flood of pain coming from your ankle. Stepping into your other foot, you regain balance and you quickly take your hurt limb out of the hole. You spin around in one foot, getting ready for a fight. But there is nothing there. The only change is that the fox is gone. You put your hurt foot down carefully. As soon as you put pressure on it, another pang of pain makes you raise it again. You wait for a few minutes and you try again. Keeping your right leg very stiff, you manage to painfully limp your way back to the main clearing. You see the owl in the tree branch and the fox at the top of the stone. You don't know if the fox actually pushed you. You also don't know if the owl and the fox are together. And you don't know that you should be confronting the owl, as if it had something to do with this. But the wheels in your mind started turning and you wanted answers. You speak loud and angry to the owl. Hey, your little friend here just pushed me. Explain yourself. A second of ambiguous silence passes, in which the owl doesn't react to you. Then, for the first time, he turns his head and looks directly at you, his empty eyes wide open, with the stare of a carnivore, and speaks.
Oh, watch out, Graham. I will eat you. Oh, I will carve your rotten flesh and consume you. Oh, you will never leave the forest. We are going to kill you.
How will the world change if learning mathematics and physics was as easy and intuitive as playing video games? Hi, I'm Charles. I'm the creator of Alexandria Library XYZ. Alexandria is a puzzle game about learning physics. If you are a physics student, it will help you stay motivated so you can keep studying for long periods of time. Click the link on the YouTube video description to get free early access to the games so you can start playing right away. Please leave a comment letting me know what you think of this chapter. Feedback is really important. It allows me to improve the quality of the content and to fix problems. Let me know your thoughts and your feelings about this chapter. And if you have any suggestions, write them below. Now.